He's hit the button. We are live. Welcome, everybody, to what is episode 16. Oh, we're chewing through this now, aren't we, Speed?
It's amazing what happens when we're actually like regularly doing the show. We tend to go through those numbers reasonably quick.
And it's only every 2 weeks as well. So it's,
Yeah, I mean, imagine if we were doing it weekly. Mm.
I don't know if I had time.
I don't. No. I don't think either of
It's
us would.
it's one of those things.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a bit brutal. But yeah, so welcome on in, everybody, and hopefully you're having a good weekend so far, especially for our guys in the US. Today, I want to talk, and this is going to be a little bit close for our man Speed over here, but also a good mate of mine has just come back as well. But breaks, mental health breaks, creativity breaks,
Mm.
really important, aren't they?
That extremely important. Uh, I mean, you know, obviously, it streaming so many years or being a content creator for so many years, you feel that burnout. You feel weighed down by everything. Sometimes you might just hit that brick wall, and you just feel like you can't make any more progress. So,
Mm.
stepping away, you know, for X amount of time to deal with whatever issues is usually the right course of
So,
action.
so, I mean, for you, I know you and I sat down and had a bit of a personal chat and a little bit of an understanding, but like especially with your situation where you had a lot of work life, you'd gone through the mixer debacle, you hadn't really had time to just let shit go, had you? You know, you
I think,
always feel you're chasing as a creator, don't you?
yeah, I think for me, my biggest issue was my work life. Like that was the biggest hitter for me, and I've realized that. I mean, I've only had 2 weeks since I finally left my job, but just those 2 weeks alone, like I've come to an acceptance that I'm never going back there again, and just the weight is different. I
Yeah.
feel different. I feel lighter. I feel more revived uh, compared to what I was
And
when I was there.
that's the thing. Like I had that chat with you, um, kind of around that sort of stuff as well, and there was also another buddy who's now on Kick as well, and we spoke last week about the mentality of chasing and chasing and chasing all the time, and there's got to come that point where you should realize that what you do for fun, and we've seen it across a lot of the socials in the last week or two. Is people's just saying, "Look, I'm taking a break," or "I've been on a break. I've come back with new ideas, some fresh ideas, some fresh things that I want to try and implement. I want to have a bit more fun. I want to do this." We see a lot of that mentality break, and I guess like, you don't want to just drop everything and go, "Oh, no, nah, I'm done. I'm going away for a few weeks," because you feel, in a way, you feel like you're letting people down.
Mm.
And I think, especially in your case, there, because you were so heavy on the work life and the stream life, and you were trying to just bang, bang, bang on top of each other. I
Yeah,
think that's where
it
it
was
kind
it
of
was
showed its ugly head.
it was really difficult in that situation because obviously you're trying to balance the two, which is a nightmare within itself. But you do
Yeah,
you feel bad, when you've created a large community and you're gaining that momentum, and then you just like I have to take a break, I have to step away, and all that momentum is just gone. Like you lost all of it, and it's hard to deal with that, because then that's on your mind,
yeah,
so you're never really
yeah.
having a break. Um, but the biggest thing is when you have a break, things have to change. Things have to change
Right.
during your break, because if you don't change anything and you just have a break and then come back to doing whatever it is that you were doing, you haven't really stepped away to take a break. All you've done is just sort of turned around and come
You
back to
just
where
stop
you were.
streaming.
Yeah, like you really have to reassess everything and just attack things from a different point of view. You have to do it.
Yeah, and I mean that's exactly what I said to I'll label him, but Baggins. Yeah, he was in that Twitch mentality, meta games, got to chase this, got to chase that, meta this, meta that, and it's not about the meta. And we did touch on this last week, but um, understanding that why did you start streaming? You started streaming purely for, and that answer is up to
Yeah.
individual. I mean,
It's
ultimately, 90% of the people are going to say, "Oh, I just started streaming for fun. I just wanted to play games and hang out with friends and just share it with a few people." That's generally what people started with, because the consoles had Twitch, they had Mixer when it came out, so it was just it was just a way to share with people, I guess. And then that breeds that connection of, hey, now I've built something, I've got to be better. I've got to do things. I've got to make everything more. When you first started, you weren't thinking about how you've got to make everything better. You were just like, oh, I'm just going to play games with mates and chat to whoever
yeah,
pops in, like, and that breeds that mentality that we spoke about last week. And that's, I guess, one thing. Like, and like I said to you, is you hadn't had time between all those platforms just to sit and reset and say, look, I've got to stop doing the things I'm doing because it's not working. Like I need to clear the mind, clear the vision, and come back and be like, why am I doing it?
yeah.
You know?
I mean, for me personally, I I think it was mainly my job because my job was like number one priority. Obviously, it was. I mean, it was my source of income. Naturally, it was going to be my priority, but it was also making me think in a very unclear manner when it came to streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'd always be, oh, I've got this backlog of games. You've heard me say it. I've got this backlog of games. I really want to get into it, but I don't have time. Or you try and plan it, and you just never get round to it. But that was just my inner self lying to me. You know, I had
Yeah,
time. I could have planned something. I just didn't. Because my brain was work as priority. Work has to come first. So
yeah.
it
I'll just
comes
play a
down
couple
to
rounds of Sudoku and go to bed,
yeah.
or
So
I'll just
like
play a couple rounds of COD.
yeah. So like my content was lacking severely. So like now I don't have an excuse. Now I've got all the time in the world. Uh, for now anyway. Um, so like I'm looking at it differently. I'm able
Well,
to like plan stuff now.
it's not even so much that you've got the time, because even if you had a job, the sheer fact that you can look at it differently mentally, you can say, "Oh, I've got plenty of time. I don't know, what," because you've identified that gap, that window of saying, "Hey, this was lying to me. This was telling me that I had no time. This was saying you've got to do this because you've only got like a 2-hour window, or you've got to go to bed by a certain time because you've got work." But now you've identified, you can say, "Hey, I don't need to listen to that anymore because this is now what I'm achieving." So whether you've got 100 hours on your hands or whether you've got 25, it doesn't make any real difference how you approach it mentally. It's the fact you've been able to identify it mentally and say, "Hey, yeah, this is the thing." And I think what you said there is, if you don't take these breaks, you don't get away from the environment that we're creating. And I guess as creators, we do it to ourselves. I mean, we load ourselves up. We
Yeah,
we've got jobs, and then you've got family stuff, or you've got podcasts that you're doing. So you're just adding and adding and adding and adding and adding to the list,
yeah,
and then it just becomes a big contrast of, oh, where do I make time?
yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing. The mental approach around having a break. And I know, like, Kaz has just joined the chat. I know Kaz has had like had breaks as well. Um, it just reinvigorates what you're doing. It just allows you to go, I actually see where I'm lacking or where I need to be
Yeah,
as a creator, and I see what I want to do.
yeah. But again, like you have to utilize the break.
Oh, yes,
Can't,
exactly.
you have to do something about it. Sorry.
Yeah. So like, no, you're good. So yeah, I said to Baggins the same, pretty much the same thing. Is dude, just take a buffer, get out of that mentality. And ironically enough, 2 days later he gets sick. So you know, bless him. Hopefully he's well. I mean, I know he's not exactly 100%, but sometimes the universe just has a way of talking to you, doesn't it? It just has a way of saying you out,
Mm.
go away, and
It's like,
that's the
but
thing. That's what it does.
but you know what the problem is. Like everyone does.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what
Yeah.
the problem is. Like, you know, for me, it was my job. You know, I knew what the problem was, and it was one of those things where I was like, how do I fix it? I had no idea how to fix that problem. Eventually, push
Mm.
came to shove, and it was like, I've got to leave. I have to leave the job. I mean, a lot of people have told me to leave said job for a long time,
Who told you that? What?
including yourself.
No,
Don't
come
worry,
on now.
you were one of many who had told me to do that, and
Oh, I
but
don't doubt
like
it.
mentally, I'm coming up with excuses about why I can't leave the job. You know,
Yeah.
admittedly, pre-COVID, it was obviously a little bit different. The workspace was very tight. Because everyone obviously had jobs. But
Yeah.
then COVID came along, everyone decided, oh, jobs suck. I want to work from home now. And then
Yeah.
all these jobs opened up. So it was almost like a prime time to try and get something different. Um,
Yeah. And I mean, look, you said something just in that little section there that it kind of rings very true. Is you've always got to have that person or that group of people who kind of understand you as an individual and see when you're breaking down, and see that there's an opportunity for you to listen and say, look, mate, I love you and I love what you're doing, but for God's sakes, stop.
yeah,
Just stop doing these excuses, stop blaming everything and take a little bit of action. It's not that if we're reaching out or trying to have a go at anyone, or trying to make them feel belittled. That's a furthest thing, especially from my side of things. It's a furthest thing from what I want to do to a creator. I'm all about building people. I'm all about lifting them up and trying to push them into another phase. And sometimes it does come across a little bit like, what do you know, sort of thing. And again, it's not about that. It's about seeing, and I mean, you saw it yourself, Speed, with Baggins, before he got sick.
yeah,
Just literally looked and sounded deflated.
yeah,
Like it was very obvious. And obviously, he had personal shit going on, aka same as you with work. Again, if no one reaches out, that creator just sits there and sits there and sits there and sits there with no generation, no hope to get better, because
yeah.
they're deflated. There's
I mean,
things going on. So
and I could see it in Baggins, like the stuff I've spoken about already. Your mind makes up these excuses about why you can't do things. And I was in the chat with him, and I was like, he was like, oh, I don't know what to play. Do I do this? Do I, it's like, well, you just do whatever you enjoy doing. He's like, yeah, I get that. And I was like, well, that's how easy it is. It's like, and even he admitted, right, that he was making the
yeah,
situation more complicated than it needed to be.
yeah,
So
it
yeah,
is. I
you
mean,
sort of
it's
need
it's
someone.
rough.
Everyone needs someone to
Mhm.
not necessarily do it for you, but sort of help guide you in a direction where you can take that step. It's more like a helping
Just,
hand.
just to shove you with a wrecking
I
ball
mean,
in the right
for
area.
me, for me, it's like, yeah, I need someone to be like, right, you do that now, kind of thing. Um,
Yeah.
but it's not, and this falls into so many different things as well, because people are too afraid to help other people.
Mhm. Yep.
Because they don't want to get involved, and it's like, oh, you're having a bad time. I don't want that negativity to reflect on me. I don't want to do that. Like,
Yep.
just people need to grow the fuck up, and it's just a helping hand. That's all it is. It's guidance. It's not
Yeah,
you,
that's right.
you know, doing it with them or doing it for them. You just, it's like holding a hand, just there. There you go, being beside them
Yeah.
a little
And
bit.
look, I've been on both sides of that coin that you just spoken about, right? I've had people come to me, and I've kind of felt like I've looked at their content and like, okay, don't get me wrong, I'm no ninja level. Oh shit, no. I don't have all the whiz bang graphics and media shit, and I don't have a team that works for me. I do everything by myself, and that works for me right now. And look, as we get on, it's going to change, and obviously,
Yeah,
there'll be things that are added and all that kind of stuff. So again, that's just expansion. It's just natural run of the mill. But when you look at somebody and you look at their content, you go, dude, like you've been playing the same game for 6 months, you haven't grown a single bit, and you're going backwards. When they come to you, it does hit a little bit different because you're kind of like, are you listening to what you're saying?
yeah,
You're telling me, are you listening to what you're saying? You're telling me to do what you should be doing. I'm out there having fun. I'm out there enjoying my life. I'm not
but
I'm not caring if I'm getting one follow a week or 100 in an hour. Like it's there. You've got to, I guess, take away little bits from everybody. Okay? Don't just take one person, because if I took that one piece of advice that I got back then, I wouldn't be here today, because I would have
yeah,
crashed and burned. And that was very obvious, because that same person who tried to give me advice, not 2, 3 weeks later, just on because it was too hard.
but like
This isn't easy.
those, no, no, it's not. Like, but those sorts of people, they're the people who watch these videos on YouTube. You know, how
Yeah.
how to grow your channel. I mean, that that's all
Oh
bullshit.
man.
Like, yes, some of it is actually very accurate.
Yeah.
Some of it,
That's a
a lot
very
of
small
it's
amount.
a lot of it's just utter garbage. It's like you've got to do this, you've got to do that. No, you don't. you know,
Yeah.
for you, the person who made the video, sure, that may have worked. It doesn't mean it works for
Mhm.
everyone else. And the
Oh,
other
that's
thing
the same.
that the biggest problem is the grind. That's people grinding for stuff. Like immediately
Okay, if
you've
you're
dug
grinding,
yourself a hole.
yep. If you're grinding, you're not having fun.
No, like you've got
I mean, take Jay's TV, right? Just pull him in for a minute, because he is a classic example of someone who could care less about the grind.
yeah,
Could not care less about the grind.
yeah,
Like he said, he wasn't going to turn his subs on until he got on Kick, until he got to 100 follows. We nagged him and nagged him and nagged him. It was like, no, 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 turn him on, turn him on, turn him on. So as soon as he hit 75, we got him to we got him to turn subs on. And look, again, if you're living that pinnacle of just having fun, who cares about the grind, the metric? Who cares about it? You will achieve it quicker than you think, because you're actually putting out the energy that people want to see.
yeah, yeah. As soon
Look,
as
it's
you
not hard.
have, grind to affiliate or some
Oh,
shit in your stream title, you've made an agenda. Your agenda
yep.
is you want money.
I want
That's
money.
your agenda.
Yep. Yep.
That's all it is. Because why else would you be grinding to affiliate? Why else would you
But it
be
also,
grinding to partner?
see, that grinding to affiliate kind of puts like an end point, I guess, if you want to look at it like that. It's like you pick up a book and it says this book is 100 pages long. Oh, okay, I want something that's a bit bigger. Put it away. Go to the next book. It doesn't tell you anything. It just says, hey, this is a story about kangaroos. And you're like, oh, okay. You're not looking at that. You don't have an end point. You know what I mean? Like if someone says road to affiliate, okay, you're going to get to. Well, again, I want more from that. I don't.
Yeah.
What's the next phase? Path to affiliate. whatever, or just road
I
to the
mean,
future. Like, who
even
cares about
that,
that word affiliate and stuff? Like,
yeah,
don't put endpoints in your titles because it just doesn't encourage people to
yeah,
come in.
and like I've done it. I've done it before, and I've noticed it myself. I've noticed it with my friends who have been streaming. They've had
Yep.
path to affiliate or grinding to affiliate, and they've struggled on the most part. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, because there's that agenda there and that endpoint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, okay, so you hit affiliate, then what? What?
Yeah.
Grind to partner then? That's
Yeah.
that's silly. That's absurd.
Yeah.
You
That
know,
is. It's a
and
crazy. It's a crazy game, isn't it?
organic growth is far better. Yes, it may take longer than everyone else because we touched on this before. You see
Oh
the
yeah.
the booming accounts. Just within a week they're like affiliated and they're just skyrocketing through the ranks. It's like, yeah, but you don't know the backstory behind that. You don't know where they've
No.
come from
Again,
and all that
that's
sort of jazz.
that's exactly right.
Yeah,
And that touches on a point. You talk about organic growth, and people say, "Oh, you can't grow organically on a brand new platform." You can,
you can.
and it's very easy,
Yeah,
very very easy. And this comes into that taking a mental break. You're taking that break away. Now, whether you take a break 2 days a week, whether you take a break for 2 weeks at a time, a month at a time, 6 months at a time, even though you're not there, you can still network the living daylights out of a site, and you can grow. Like, I'm not sure for you personally on Kick at the moment, but I know for myself, I've had probably 25, maybe 30 follows off stream. I haven't been physically live when I've had the follows. And that was my same journey through Mixer. I got more follows offline than I did while I was actually live.
yeah,
And that just comes down to networking. It just comes down to hanging with new people, finding things, like looking at interests, like, oh, I'm just going to go through, what is your target audience? Do you want to hit a guy who's got 5,000 in their stream where your comment's going to get missed? You want to go and hit with a guy who's just started on Kick and is going to grow beside you and be a new person? Or do you want to grab someone who's right in that middle phase and you just want to try and get that instant gratitude out of it? Either way, it's all about networking. It's about creating those connections with people that are like minded. Now, I saw a tweet from you last week, I think, and it said, when you blow up a gifted sub over a follow, you can get stuffed, basically.
that
And that
oh,
spoke volumes to me. That spoke mega volumes because, sure, you've got a community, sure, they're gifting subs, but they're already there. They're already there. You should be more blowing up the
yeah,
fact that you've got a
uh,
follow
yeah.
and encouraging those
So
follows.
I don't remember who it was because basically after that happened, I'm like unfollow and I left.
About.
Uh, so like I followed, and I was talking in chat, and there was no mention of my follow. I'm not like asking for it. I'm not like needing
No, no,
that
no.
that confirmation, but it's it's a nice thing. It's that recognition kind of thing. Kind of. But anyway, I was talking in chat, and then someone gifted a sub, and it was almost like a rave party just started. It's like this
Yeah.
huge celebration about a gifted sub. It's like, obviously, you've made your choice on which one you prefer.
Yeah, they're taking money over people,
Yeah,
pretty much. And I mean,
yeah,
look, and don't get me wrong, Speed makes a very good point there. It's not about the recognition side of everything. But I ask you a question. I throw this to chat and I throw this to the world. If you walked into a room with 100 people and no one spoke to you, no one acknowledged your existence, would you hang around there?
no.
Simple answer is I'm out the door. I'm going to the pub because, at least down there I can drown sorrows. At the end of the day, follow should be treated as the same level, if not above slightly, subs and gifted subs. I know that's
Right.
It's a
So
monetary gain, and yes, you're making a big chunk of dollars, but at the end of the day, one person gifting a sub versus 10 people following and potentially having another 10
yeah.
into that facet and bringing them in as
Well,
big community is a very different story.
yeah. So like, follows should be celebrated. You should be grateful
Yeah,
that you've
100% they should be.
got follows. When you get subs, you should be humbled. You
That's right.
shouldn't be, fuck yeah, we got that, yeah, let's go. I mean, you have a little
Yeah.
bit of a celebration because, yeah, cool sub, but you don't make a big show of it. The genuine people will be humbled. You know, like yourself when you got
I was waiting for
yeah
this to come into it.
when you
Bastard.
got gifted, right? You got a heap of
Yeah.
gifted subs.
Yeah.
You could see it. You could see that you were like overly humbled by the situation. You weren't like, oh fuck yeah, we just got X amount of subs. You weren't making a big deal out of it. It was just like, oh my god, thank you, but stop. I mean, I've done it.
I
When the
mean,
subs have rolled through, it's
again,
like, thank you, but stop.
right, I get that. And yes, I was very humble. And as I say, that individual's been around my for a very, very long time. Um, and they always seem to pop up when life is absolutely just kicking me in the balls. There's no question about it. They always just seem to pop in and just know what to do. Um, and in that, and this is kind of where the game will play between that person and myself is they almost broke me on stream. Like I'll admit, I was millimeters. If another 5 had been dropped, I was in tears because it just would have like flatlined me because I don't do content creation. I don't do streaming for the money side at all. I could care less if I got no subs. I don't care. It's not about that. I'm all about the community. I'm about building people and interacting and getting people in, embracing that and building a network. As you've seen with yourself and Baggins and Fangbone, a lot of those guys, Kaza even, like I've known Kaza since Mixer. And again, it's trying to build that connection. Astrophysics have been around since Mixer. He's followed me through just about every damn platform. The guy's unreal. It's about building that network because when you've got a network of people who generally understand your base element, as we said before, when they reach out and say, "Hey, Lord, what's going on, man? You need to take a break." That's like your trusted advisory group. You just go, "Oh, these are the guys who've been with me a fair while. They kind of know me. I think I should take a break." You've got that trust in these people. So for
Yeah,
me, subs are fantastic. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, you make a little bit extra cash on the way through, but it's not. That shouldn't be the drive for streaming.
yeah,
The drive should be your community, pulling people in and encouraging it. And look, when it comes down to it, like I'm on the train now. I've already said I'm going to start putting some things in place where I can start helping, the people who are coming through, on new streams. I don't look. I don't care about those top dogs. Like I don't see the sense of going into a channel that's got 1,000 subs and dropping another 10 or 100 on there. Like at that point, that's just a waste of effort. You're just dropping
yeah,
money into a money pit. It's not helping anybody. Those 100 subs you could easily take down to a creator of, say, my size or a little bit smaller who's really just gotten their subs and start building their journey. If you've got 5,000 people in a channel, don't go and jump into another channel that's got 6,000 people. It's a waste of time. You're gaining nothing from it. Go and help build these smaller creators, these
yeah,
ones who are 25, 35, 40, who are trying to build a status. Get a scout. Like I do it all the time, and I'm getting back to doing it now. I've got Lady, who's my head mod. She goes out and she scouts, and she knows exactly what we're looking for. She knows the attitude we're looking for, the interaction we're looking for, things like that. And she goes, "Hey, this person's really cool. Go and give them a raid." And you're going to see a lot of that come from me in the future, where I will take my 16, 17 people, and we will go to a channel that is building because that's what we do.
yeah,
Because to me, growing smaller people into a more connected platform is going to allow a platform to stay alive, whether it be Kick or Glimish or Trovo. If you don't have a network and you just each individual just doing their own thing, it doesn't survive.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
I mean, like, and I've noticed it a lot more since you've been on Kick. Like, obviously you've been, out there sort of promoting people and being interactive and whatnot. But I'm noticing it a lot more now, like especially over Twitter. And even you had a break. You had the longest of breaks.
I had 6 months, nearly 7
off streaming,
months,
yeah. And as you said to me, it was something that I said that clicked in you, and you're like,
Mhm.
I'm going to get back into it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is that I said, but we'll leave that out of it. But but like but you gave it another shot. You started streaming on Kick, and you felt it. You felt whatever it is that you were missing in streaming.
Yep.
You felt that again. Yeah. And it's starting to show. You're back in that groove of the old days where you weren't having fun and were enjoying it. And like, some people just need that. For you, it was months. For me, it was 2 weeks. Everyone's different. But like on the networking side of it, right? I was terrible at networking. Absolutely, networking is like me going outside, meeting new people. I just shouldn't do it, right? But I had that first week off work, and that was just sort of acceptance time. I had to accept that right. I've just left my job. It was all done. I had to go through that grieving process, and then the next week, last week, I started getting around the platform. I started visiting people, because I'm like, I've got all this time on my hands. I get to actually see people who are streaming during the day that I normally wouldn't see. So I'm going to pop into streams. I'm going to hang out. I'm going to start meeting new people that I haven't met before. And I've met heaps of people now. Yeah. Like over the last week, I've gained 50% of my followers on Kick just from floating around for the week. God knows what's going to happen when I start back up again. But it's that foundation though.
That's right. That's what I was about to say. Pardon me. With you laying that foundation, getting in, not necessarily in people's face, and look, don't get me wrong, I'm very heavy when it comes to just pushing heavily on people's stuff. I do. If you go on my Twitter for the last like 48, 72 hours, it's all been Fangbone, and there's a reason why. I know that man personally. Like, I know his personal struggles. I know what he's going through, and he's so close. Just so close to cracking that nut open where he can just energize himself. And look, I can sense the despair, and I know what he's feeling. I know the despair. Like, oh, come on, it's 5. Just 5 more or 2 more. You just want it. You can sense it. You can feel it. You can almost just grab it. It just keeps drifting and drifting and drifting. And look, it does get despairing when people say, oh, but Lord, you're making follows hand over fist. Yes, but the way I go about my business is very, very different. Please do not compare yourself to any other streamer. The way you conduct yourself, the way you handle your business, and the way you promote yourself is how you get around it. Now, to put that into context, yesterday I did a tweet for Fangbone because I was in his channel and he was pushing. He was only about 9 or 10 away.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
From affiliate. And this person popped in and was like, hey, how you going? Drops a follow. Fangbone just didn't even register. It was just like, oh, how you going? Thinking it was already somebody that had followed, like had already been there. And they said, oh, it came in on your tweet. And then I commented, and they're like, oh, hang on, no. I think it came in off Lord's tweet. And he's like, again, that sits in the streamer's mind that, hang on, my community is actually working. Like my community is actually trying to help me here. So again, it gives you that extra spirit just to keep trying to step that little bit more.
Yeah.
Again, same very person
Like,
went into Baggins today, and I jumped in and said, "Oh, g'day, like how you going?" So, oh yeah, bouncing on their tweet. Again, it's how you handle your business. You do it right, and the streaming game's easy.
yeah. I mean, I think we've touched on this before. Like, whoever drops into your stream, regardless of whether they're new or old, you treat them as if they've been there for years. As if they're one of your greatest friends that's been around the whole time. Because if you treat someone as if they're new blood, we've got our inside thing. You just sort of stand over there.
Yeah,
People are going to feel separated from that, and
well,
that's not good.
that there is a classic example, right? Because um, I noticed that on Kick you get your channel sub emotes can be shared across the platform, so they can be used across the
Yes.
platform, which is cool. I love that idea. A lady said to me the other day, she goes, "I just put those in the sub," and I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. They were done for use. I want them to be used in the channel. I want people to come into my channel and go, oh, I don't need a sub just to be able to get his emotes. I want people to be able to do it." And lady shared a tweet with us the other day. It said, "Oh, I've got this channel emote that's global. If you sub to my channel, I don't want people to feel that they have to sub to use those emotes. That's why I'm getting a ton more made, because I do want some that are specifically for subs, because again, that's just a little way to give back to those guys who have subbed to the channel. They can use those emotes in another channel and be like, oh, that's a cool emote. Where's that one from? Oh, that's from my
Yeah.
buddy over there. Oh, okay, cool. I have to check them out. Right? It creates a talking point. It creates a volume. But I also don't want the guys who can't sub and can't afford to sub feeling bad that they can't use the emotes in other channels. So give them stuff they can use throughout my channel and have a whole different array of things to keep that element there so that they feel just as much included as guys who have subbed. I mean, that's just a mentality
Yeah.
process. And that's just how I think about it. But I don't want to take the ones that everyone's been able to use and lock them. That's just not
Yeah.
the way I do things.
Like I had it on Twitch. I had an emote locked behind a paywall, essentially, and
Yeah.
it never sat right with me because it was a good emote, It was, but I was like, I don't want that there. But I just, whilst I was on Twitch, I was like, I'm gonna do it because, like, in the back of your mind, like, I might get subs. But like now it's like I don't care. Like whatever I have, that's what people can use.
Mhm.
You want everyone to be able to use it. Like, yeah, it may not be a global emote, but that's okay.
I mean, global emotes are fun, and don't get me wrong, I was using a few today on a couple of streams, and they are fun to use, and it's a cool way to create. Like someone says, "Oh, that's a cool emote. Like that's really neat. Where's that one from?" And you go, "Oh, that's from such and such a channel." Oh, okay. So they got cool emotes. I might go and check them out. Oh, that's a really funny emote. That kind of it gives you a little insight into what the creator of that emote is. It kind of just showcases where you can go.
I mean, it doesn't say much for me. I've only got two emotes, and they're both garbage. So,
No,
but yeah.
one's a chair. The other one is not garbage.
I mean, have you seen this chair? It's seen some better days.
But yeah, so it's just a good talking point. So like I'm all for having sub emotes, but also on the same note, I want to make sure that the free side that they can use in my, they can obviously use them in my channel anyway,
Hmm.
but they still have the ability to use them. I don't want to lock certain ones away. Like there will be sub only emotes, but then there's going to be a whole array of other ones.
Like,
You know,
it all comes down to how you want to approach your channel or your content, really. What is it that you want to get out of that? Is your ultimate goal money? Is your ultimate goal just to have fun? Is it to, meet new people, all that sort of jazz? You know,
Well, I mean, this is where we were talking about before, getting back to your roots. Why
mm,
did you start?
yeah, it's all
That's simply
mentality.
it.
Yeah, and even the biggest content creators, they've had breaks. Because they've hit that point where it's like I'm out of ideas. I don't know what to do anymore. Mainly because they're on a grind. You know, a lot of them are on a grind because they want to be bigger and better, and that's fine within reason. You
Yeah.
know, you can't just be the biggest thing since sliced bread every month. You know,
Well,
you got to
I mean,
gradually, like,
what,
if as long as you're essentially breaking even, you're good. You know,
what's what's the point in being popular and famous?
money.
Like,
We all know the answer to that. It's money. We
why?
know the
I
answer is
mean,
money.
but again, like, what is it doing to you as a person, though?
It allows you to buy
Now,
nice
I've
things.
seen, I've seen, I've seen creators, and don't get me wrong, and if Kaz is still in the chat, Kaz can probably back me up here. Once that money started rolling in, people change. I will, I will stand by that statement to the day I die. Money changes people, and they never, ever, ever are the same person again. Right now, you spoke before about being humbled and everything like that. Like I said, if someone come into my channel tomorrow and dropped 100 subs, you would see this grown ass man cry on stream.
I
Legitimately, I
mean,
would, because
to be
it's
fair, I
just
probably would as well.
because it is so humbling that people want to do that. I'm not asking for people to do that. I'm not doing that. That's not the way things roll for me. But I tell you now, that would be like, almost like in my brain, I'd be saying, but why? Like, I'm no ninja. I'm no Mr. Beast. I'm no Dr. Disrespect. I'm no, none of these guys. I'm not to that level. Again, what that shows is you don't need to be on that level for your community to appreciate what you do.
And like this falls into the whole meta streaming meta as well, because like
Yeah,
the one
it
thing that
does.
comes to my mind, right, is that you see people with these setups, and you see the camera, and you see everything behind them. Everything's like fucking, like it's like a showcase,
Mint is
essentially.
pristine. Yeah.
There's lights everywhere. There's all this shit, all this memorabilia, like stuff everywhere. You know,
Yeah.
and people are like, fuck yeah, that's cool. I want something like that. And then,
Yeah.
it breeds the wrong things. Like, well, that's who that person is. You've still got to be your own person. For me, this is it. I don't care. I mean, I'm happy with the
Yeah.
flag and
You get
whatever's on
this.
this fucking whiteboard. I mean, yeah, like you've got a
You get this
background
virtual
replacement.
because you don't want to
Yeah,
see what's behind there.
yeah, I've seen it.
There's
You
so
don't want to
much
see
shit
it. Yeah.
behind it.
Um,
Yeah, no, that's
yeah,
right.
like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's back here.
No, that's
Obviously,
right.
if it's a absolute shit tip, then don't have your webcam on. But it doesn't matter. Like you don't need, you know, all that stuff, all the fancy lighting,
No.
you don't need any of that. Technically, if you're a decent person, you don't even need a webcam. You can be a perfectly good streamer without a webcam. Yes, webcam helps, but it's just one of those things. Like, people interact better when they're not like, "Oh my god, do I look okay?" Yeah, when they're worrying about themselves.
So the thing with the webcam, and I want to touch on that, right, is yeah, you're right. You don't need a webcam. But again, if you're focused in a game and you've been in this very position before, where we can see that you're purely focused on what you're doing because something's going on. We've been in streams where someone's like, yesterday, Astrophysics was on Kick, playing PUBG, and it was a one-on-one fight at the
Ah,
end.
he was deep into that. Yeah.
Pressure cooker. So he's focused. If he doesn't have a cam on and you're talking to him and he's ignoring, in your eyes ignoring you, you don't know what he's doing. At least with a camera, you can see that, okay, the streamer is focused. Give him a minute. Right, he just won the game. Hey, well done, man. GG. It's like,
I mean, mind
let me
you,
catch up on chat, you know.
mind you, he was
Gives him
right
time.
at the end of the battle too, so it was like a
Oh,
1v1.
yeah.
So naturally, he's going to be, in the
Focused.
moment. But like you see it with people like Talixo, playing City Skylines. It.
Oh,
You think, right?
of all
It's just City
games.
Skylines. What? Why aren't you paying attention to chat? Trust me, trust me. When you get deep into that stuff, you just zone in. You don't. You stop thinking about everything else. So it's very easy for content creators to just focus in, and they don't intentionally ignore chat or whatever. They just their focus has been diverted for a very short time.
So that then creates the situation I know we've spoken about before. Actually, I think we may have touched it last week.
Probably.
But this creates a general question: is what is your focus as a content creator? Because you can either be, a little more focused on chat, or you can be a little more focused on your gaming. Now, I've seen content creators kind of balance them a little bit, and they're kind of a bit of game, bit of chat, bit of game, bit of chat. They play the game when there's a gap, like between games or rounds. They read chat, they go back to the game. I've also seen content creators that are purely like, I don't care about the game. My thing is chat, and and I've been guilty of this even on speed stream, and I it's
Yeah.
so hard to break. Like, again, we're playing a game and like sitting there, and I'll just see chat bounce. It's like, hey, Deceptus, how you going? Yeah, he's just commented on YouTube. I know he's there, but again, because the way I train myself is no matter what's going on, that flashes or moves, I'm triggered to it, and I just read it. It's just a habit. I've had to refrain from doing that, especially when I'm playing with speed, because
Yes.
everything
Especially when
seems to
I'm
happen when his
streaming.
eyes are
Yes.
diverted.
It's like
But
I see the message at the same time, but somehow the words come out of Lord's mouth a little bit quicker than mine. And like, is it
and the worst
your
thing is
stream
I'm
or is it my
delayed as well.
stream?
Like,
Who's doing the job right
like,
now?
but that's the thing. Like, if that's where you've trained yourself to be cute, I guess, on the chat, sometimes it's just instinct that takes over. You know, and that's just the way it is. Like, it's not just speed stream I've done it to either. Like, I've been in even with Digital Fracture, I've been in with him, and I've been reading his chat before he's even seen it, and he's like, "Oh, well, take it away."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "All right, just keep doing your chat." Like, again, it's sometimes not a bad thing to be that. If you can be playing a game and then see it and be like, "Hey, how you going, Deceptus?" and you're still playing the game, people are like, "How in the frick did he do that? His eyes didn't move. Like, he was
Yeah.
still running or driving or shooting. Like,
I mean,
how did he?" And again, it's the way you program yourself to react to those things.
yeah. I mean, I used to do it with Forza. I'd be
Yeah.
racing and I'd be talking to chat at the same time. People would be like, "How are you doing this? How are you not crashing right now?" It's like, this is what I've trained myself to do. You just do it. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
now I'm probably well out of touch with doing fast-paced things and reading chat. So I mean, I
But
tried
I
it
mean,
with
again,
iRacing and that just doesn't work.
yeah, no, that's a whole different thing, because that does require you to be focused on inputs, braking, accelerating, turning inputs, gear changes, and just
There's a
focusing on
lot to
what that car
focus
in
on.
front's
Yeah.
doing. And it's not just Forza where you can just crash, bash, move out of the way, and keep going. It's a lot more heavy on the racing element. So again, iRacing is very hard to do it. But again, if you've got your chat in the right position where you can just catch it at the right moment, it doesn't really seem like you're missing chat, and it's
Yeah.
really cool when you get it right. But I do agree, iRacing is definitely a different kettle there to play with. But and it falls back into that groove. How good are you at what you do? How do you handle your business? Nothing wrong with either side of the fence that you sit on, but it's just, can you handle it properly and can you use that to your advantage? Do people get to know that? Like Bones FPS, for example, he plays a lot of COD. When he's playing, like when he's running in the battles, he's not focused on chat.
Yeah.
Once the round's over, he's solely on chat. Like he'll
Oh,
talk.
I've watched him. Yeah,
You learn with the creator.
Yeah,
So
like
you pick it up.
Yeah, I've sat in some of his streams, and you can see like before he starts playing, he is on chat like anything.
Yep.
But as when he's playing, I've never seen anyone so focused on something in my entire life. That man is on it. Like
he's good, isn't he? Yeah.
He is mad. Yeah.
Again, if you're looking for that interaction, you're not going to get it there while he's playing games. Yeah. Again, that's fine, because that's the way he does it. You take, on the other hand, you've got Deceptus out there playing Dead Island 2. You walk in there and go, "G'day, mate," and he bangs straight on it. So again, it's how you train your patterns. It's how you direct your flow that creates it. If you get responded to instantly, you're more inclined to talk. If you're having to wait, you kind of just sort of sit there and go, "I'm getting bored. I'm trying to have a conversation," and it's like a stop-start story. So it's how you manage the stream. It's how you get used to the streamer and how they flow.
Yeah. But it all falls under the mentality of the streamer.
That's right. It's the mentality, and that is those things you can look at during a break.
Yeah.
How do I conduct myself? How do I change things up?
And like, I want to go back to Fangbone for a sec, because obviously Fangbone is right there. It's like so close to hitting that marker, but and everyone's you see it on Twitter. Everyone's sort of like, "Hey, give this guy a little bit of a bump." It's like, that's fine. What's Fangbone doing? That's the question that comes into my mind. Is Fangbone getting himself out there? Is he doing what's necessary to, push a little bit further? Or is he just like, "Oh, I'm going to do my thing. Everyone else can just share me." Kind of thing. That's what's going through my mind. Like, if he's that close and nothing's really happening, that's the question that I come up with.
Yeah, well, he's now 4 away, funnily enough, because I'm still sitting in his channel lurking away. But he's now 4 away.
Yeah, but like I honestly think that Fangbone just hasn't been exposed to the right community yet.
Yeah,
like he's great dude. Like he just fully interact with chat. He's just got a bubbly sort of sense of self. So I just don't think he's been exposed to the right people yet. And once he does,
he'll explode. He will blow up.
Again, the question arises: what's he doing to get to?
That's right. I mean, as a creator, you've got to look at yourself and say, "What am I doing? Am I doing the right things? Am I pushing too hard? Do I need to take a day off and go and do some networking?
Take a week off and do some networking." Yeah.
But again, as I said in the previous part of the show, is I understand where he's at, because he's in a world of shit. Let's be honest. But again, he's still out there grinding. Well, again, he's not grinding. He's trying to put in the yards because he knows, he kind of needs to have this happen in his world. He needs this to happen. In the real world, doesn't need it to happen, because it will naturally happen itself. And that's what I like about Fangbone, is he's dedicated to his craft, and he is good at what he does. He just hasn't lined up with a solid link right now, and that's
it's like that mentality. The mentality of, I need a win. To him, that's a win. But it ultimately, that's an excuse. If you're looking for a win, that's an excuse, because
Yeah.
you're just expecting something to fall into your lap. That's not how life works. You've got to go out and you've got to grab whatever it is that you want. So, yeah, it'll give a boost for now if he gets to that stage, but that boost will wear off because he still
That's
hasn't
right.
changed the way he looks at everything.
And that comes back to that whole thing of turning it on and just expecting people to come.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. It's like going out and starting your car and driving it, without going to the service station. Eventually, it's going to run out of fuel and it's going to stop. That's
Yeah.
a position
It's
you
like,
get
oh,
when you turn it on.
I've
You stream for 9 hours a day.
I've put on my clothes for work. I'm not at work yet. How did that? What? But I've put on my work clothes. I should be at work right now. It's like that's the mentality,
Yeah. You can't just turn it on and expect people to come in. You
No.
literally have to network. So, like, let me just check,
But I think
so I can be accurate. So
there's
he's been live for 8 hours and 46 minutes. Half of that, he could literally have been building his connections. And take nothing away from Fangbone. He does do a lot of
yeah,
networking with people. But how far is his reach? How far has he gone to pull that in? Like, sure, the last few days it's just been 4 to 6 hour streams, and today's almost 9 hours. It's great, but where's
well, like,
where's it coming from?
yeah, like I can honestly say that my reach and my connections now are far more substantial than anything I've ever had, in my years of streaming. Like, mainly because I'm actually networking now, I think would probably be the reason why. But it makes a huge difference. It's just getting to know different people. You don't have to make a connection with them. You don't have to keep in contact with them or tag them on everything in your tweets or whatever. It's just you being there. You becoming a common name. That's all it takes. Pop into the like try and pop into like nearly every stream, and then eventually they're like, oh hey, how you going, whatever your name is,
Okay.
so
Yeah, that's
you
right.
start to
And I mean, look,
become more memorable, and then you because you're memorable then, and you start getting treated as if you're an old time friend, that reflects on other people in chat and so on and so forth.
well, take in Spider Almighty, for example, right? On Mixer was in his community all the time. Mixer obviously went through its phase. Then everyone just spidered out to everywhere, just gone. Everyone was just all over the place, right? I saw Spider back on Kick, and I went in and went, "Hey man, how you going?" And instantly, it was like yesterday, last week. He's like, "Oh Lord, how you going, man?" Like, straight away, bang! It was like instant recognition. It was like he knew that name, no matter what it was or how long it had been. He knew that name. It was just like, and how you been? Like, yeah, sure, it's been a couple of years, but again, it was like yesterday that we spoke. It wasn't,
Yeah.
and that's the kind of connection you want to build. That's the kind of, that joint venture you want to build. And then, again, with Kazawaki, from the mixer side through other things, it was like, oh, Kaza, how you going? Like, it's an instant recognition. It was like, I know that name. Registers with me. It's because that was way back. Now, again, it's really hard when you leave 1,000 people in the dust and you move on and you're trying to restructure everything and rebuild. But you will find there is names that resonate in your brain when people come back in. It's like, oh, that name that seems familiar.
Yeah.
Oh, I was known as this. Ah, yeah. I know that through this system or through that system, and you know what I mean. Like it just resonates. It's like,
I mean, like, say,
understanding
like,
names.
when I went in to see Baggins, for the first time, I actually made it to one of his streams, and he asked me, so from who did you come from? Assuming that he'd just been referred to by someone, which he kind of did, but didn't. I mean, I followed him a while back, but like I said, oh, Sainted Lord, reluctantly. I mean, in my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was that that notoriety, I'm a part of this group of people, that you
Yeah.
know of, that you have respect for, then instantly is like, well, there's acceptance there. It's like, all right, well, if you're part of that
Well,
group, you know,
like I said, it's not so much acceptance. It's just they already know that if you're in
yeah,
that community, you're
yeah,
not a troll. You're not coming in there to be a dick. You're coming in there as a genuine addition to the community. So they're not on high alert. They're not watching you going, "Mm,
yeah,
okay, you seem all right, but I'm just waiting for you to stick your foot in it." It's kind of like the barrier comes down. It's like, oh, you're part of Lord's group. Oh, sweet. Okay. Because again, that connectivity that say Baggins and I've got is Lord doesn't tolerate the bullshit. He doesn't have that stuff. He won't allow that stuff. So again, I know if they're in that network, they're at least half decent,
yeah,
and they're going to do the right thing. So it's kind of like a match between people. It's like Deceptus there in the YouTube chat. He would obviously have people that if someone came in and said, "Oh, I was sent by such and such a person," it would automatically resonate that okay, yeah, they're cool, awesome, welcome in, dude, glad to have you,
yeah,
and instantly just get that
yeah.
that connection
and,
flowing rather
and
than being a little standoffish.
like I've discussed this with you before. It's almost like a double-edged sword, like in my mind, because like on one hand, yeah, you want to be like, oh, I came from so and so, because obviously
Yeah,
that name's going to resonate with that person,
yeah,
but you also don't. You want to have that individuality, like, you just want to have that sort of fresh start with that person and build that connection from
yeah.
there. So it's sort of it's a
It
hard
is one of
choice.
those hard things. It is, and this is one of those I guess those mental steps that you either get over or you don't. Quickly is like if someone asks, like, where have you come from, sort of thing. Like, you got a choice. You can say, oh, a Deceptor sent me, or you can say, oh, look, man, I'm just new to Kick, or I'm just new to YouTube, whatever. You can kind of play it down. At the same time as you're doing that, yes, you're building a connection. You're building that on yourself. But then the streamer goes, well, is my community really working? Do I need to
Mm,
change what I'm doing for my community? It starts the process thinking. So it's a double-edged sword both ways, because as a streamer, you want to know if your community is doing things for you. And if they're out there, retweeting and sharing tweets, making tweets, or just out there talking to their friends and saying, hey, you need to get in here.
mm,
And I guess if it comes down to it, if I go into a channel and like, let's say I come into your channel, for example, I'm like, hey, I'm here, saw Baggins tweet about you, just dropping in to say hi. It's it's kind of a different flow because you're then not asking.
mm.
If you ask me, would I say I'm
Yeah,
from Baggins community? It's kind of one of those things. Like, the problem is, now here's the thing, right? If the streamer is open and listening to what's going, and you went in to say Baggins stream and you said, oh no, I'm just seeing you on Kick, then he goes back through Twitter and sees you've liked my tweet. It kind of then says, well, hold on, that tweet was done 10 minutes before you came into my chat.
yeah,
It then now starts posing a bit of doubt on the legitimacy of what you're doing. So again, it's hard to network without using the notoriety of somebody else.
yeah,
But it also
uh,
helps you network because you already have that backing straight away. So it's
yeah,
like you still can be individual even though you're part of that group.
yeah.
Is that
So it
it's that
is
weird sort of setup.
it is a system. I mean, it's life really. It's all about who you know. It's not about what you know; it's who you know.
You know.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, as much as you want to do something the right way, it's a longer road than saying, "Oh, hey, I'm from Lord's community." You know.
Yeah.
So,
even if you just say, I saw Lord's tweet, or I come in off the back of, like yesterday with Fangbone, for example, someone saw my tweet about Fangbone, and they've come in because they didn't really register that it was me giving him a shout out on Twitter. Just clicked on his link and come in. And oh yeah, it was on your tweet. And then it was like, oh, hang on, no, send Lord's tweet, and he's here. So it was kind of like, it was a flow effect. It was like, oh, they saw my tweet. Oh no, they didn't. They saw his tweet. So it's kind of,
Yeah.
and that comes down to your community. How far do they want to push the support for you versus how much they want to take the support for themselves? It's a balancing act, and it's hard. It is, and I get it. You don't want to feed off another creator, but whether you feed off them when you go into a chat, into their community, whether you feed off them when they come and raid you and you take their follows, you're still feeding off that community.
Yeah.
Kind of something similar, roundabout. It's
sort of, it throws a little bit of a wrench into the whole networking thing as well.
It does.
Because depending on how you approach it, obviously, if you're just an absolute jerk when you come in, and because you don't want those people, right? We've all had those people who are like, oh, hey, I stream too. And just that's how they start a conversation.
Yeah.
Just, make friends. Just have a conversation. That's all it takes. You don't need to, just hang out for, half an hour, just have a chat. That's it. That's all it takes. You don't need to plug your socials or your channel or, say,
Nope.
oh, well, I'm going to go stream now. Bye.
I'm going to put you on the tab gang, and then all of a sudden up in the top, goes, this person's gone live.
I'm just going to tab you whilst I'm streaming. Just...
Look, I don't mind that. Okay, look, I'm all for that.
But you don't tell people that.
No, but the one thing I really, really, really dislike is when they come into the channel and go, "Oh, I'm live as well." Well, you've got 17 or 18 people there.
Yeah, convenient.
Because I'm live, like that's their first thing that they say. It's like, bruh, really?
Yeah.
Get out of here, fool. And again, as a creator, you've already built that community. That's why they're there. They're going to see that and be like, what a twat. And then they're going to start talking about it. And
but that's
me, I like to downplay it. I'm like, okay, cool, thanks. And I just move on. I don't like to encourage the chat about it, because then you start talking about that person, it's...
But that's an attempt to try and feed off other people's success. That's the wrong mentality. That's not what you
desperation.
Do. Yes.
No.
Well, no, it's laziness, essentially. It's like, oh, hey, this person's playing the same sort of stuff as me. They've got 50 followers, 50 people watching. I've got 2. I'm just going to drop in there and be like, oh, hey, I play this game as well, and I stream too. Hoping that,
it's
people come out.
It's pure desperation, because they don't network. That's what it is. It's like, I need to pull some of that. I need that. I need it. Why are they getting it? I do the same thing. You don't do the same thing. You don't build the same way that person's done. You don't promote. You don't establish yourself. You don't do the things that person does. So you're not doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's pure desperation, because they're probably sat there looking at their followers, like being at 10 for the last 3 weeks and going nowhere. And I've seen it on Twitter. Oh, how are all you guys getting 100 follows? I've been sitting. Nothing's ever happened. Do you think that's the way you're going to do it, by coming in and whinging to get follows? Like, that's not how you do it. I'm sorry, that's not the way you build.
Yeah.
Like, so again,
just
because you think you're doing the same thing, you're not.
That's that misinformation as well. That we spoke about last time with subs. There's misinformation because you don't know, like from a tweet, you don't know the details of where that person's come from, how they've built up, how many years they've been doing it. You don't know any of that. It's just oh, hey, we got 100 subs for the week, or we've got 2,000 follows for the month. It's out of context.
I can guarantee you one thing: anyone who's looking at that, who's a smaller creator, I say smaller, who might be newer or whatever, and not clicking on that link and going and looking. Oh, look, they've got Twitch and YouTube. Oh, their YouTube's got 10,000. Oh, they've only made 1,000 followers in a week. Yeah, that's only because 1 or 10% of their community have come over from YouTube.
Mm.
That's not generic growth. That's just someone moving from one platform to another. That's all that is.
Yeah. Well, I saw another tweet.
Those
like
guys
that.
who know how to manipulate the system.
Yeah, I saw another tweet like that last week, where it was like their first week on Kick, and they'd just blown numbers well out of the water. It's like,
yeah.
Again, there's no context to the tweet. It's just
No.
I've had all this exponential growth. It's like that's just painting a bad picture, you know.
You go and look at their YouTube or their Twitch or whatever, and they've got thousands more that haven't actually followed. Because I'm not making a new account. Hey, look, Disney Plus got a new subscription. Let me.
Oh yeah, I'll pay for that. Yep. Yeah, I'll pay for Netflix, Disney Plus, Stan. Like, I'll pay for all those things. Yeah, that's not a problem. Yeah. Oh, you're moving platforms? No, sorry, can't do that. That's too much effort.
See you. Bye.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Like, what?
I'm not going to put my email and password in on another site. No, get stuff.
For 5 seconds, that's all you got to do to sign up is just email, password, sign up. Oh, I've got an account. Oh, shit.
Come talk to me over there. There's no ads. Come talk to me over there. Come drop your subs over there. No, fuck you. You're not on Twitch. And that is the mentality. Oh, that is it. I don't care about ads because I'll just pay you money just so I don't get ads.
Yeah.
You're not paying me money. You're paying Twitch money. Come over here and pay me money if that's what you want to do.
The sheer
it's more
stubbornness of people is mind-boggling.
And, this then affects,
but it's like when you move from Twitch to Mixer, right? Yeah. There are a whole heap of people on Twitch who's like, oh, I'm not going to make an account over there. Why?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Again, that then affects the creator because they take a break and they say, okay, look, Twitch is being stagnant for me. I'm getting nowhere. Maybe I need to try something different. So they say, oh, I'm going to do this. And then half their community instantly just goes, I don't care. See ya. And that hurts. That hurts a community. That hurts a streamer because they all of a sudden now they think, well,
and that's
what have I done?
That's why people don't like moving platforms or having a break because they're worried that as soon as they do, they've lost everything.
Yep, because their community is
they're
not
so
real community.
Yeah, because they're so shit scared of losing those numbers. Yep. Moving to a different platform's a great thing. It's a fresh start. You can do things how it's like moving towns. You move halfway across the country to a new town. You've got a fresh start. You can essentially be who you want to be wherever you go. Like that's the benefit of doing it. It's like the same as having a break. You have a break, come back, and just hit the ground running. Doing whatever it is that you wanted to do. It's not about numbers. It's not like you're going to lose some people, but clearly those people were only there just to be
convenient,
entertained, on a daily basis.
Oh, they're just there for convenience.
Well, yeah, it's like when you play a certain game. I mean, we saw it with Telixo. You said it. He's like, oh, he's not playing City Skylines today. Because he's been playing it literally all week. Every single day, and then he played something different. It's like, oh, this is weird. This is different. And
what's he doing?
Some people look at that and be like, oh, that's different. I don't like that. I'm out of here now. If he's going to be one of those variety streamers, gross.
And that's a problem because again, as a streamer, we should be looking to variety because otherwise we stagnate. We just get stale on the same game. There's no.
I mean, hell, I was experiencing
no growth. There's no creativity.
Yeah, because my fallback game was Rocket League, all the time. Right, and so I'd sit here and I have I've got tons of games that I could play, tons of them.
Mhm.
But I'd look at each one and be like, uh, and I'd just be like, fuck it, I'm going to play Rocket League, and that's you know, I essentially pushed myself into a corner and
Yeah,
stagnated myself. I
yeah,
do have plans now to start getting into backlog. I will get into everything. Like I have plans
yeah.
to play shit that I haven't played, plans to get back into games that I haven't finished. South Park for anyone that's watching. Uh, I plan on finishing that one way or another. Um, but yeah, you just sort of got to rethink everything. You have to rethink everything. You have to.
Yeah, it's again that mental break, or even just that whole break entirely from being that creator, that content creator, that streamer. Take the break. Get away from producing content. Go and look at content.
Yeah.
Be more creative. Create a plan for yourself to say, like Memory Leaks in chat now. I know man, you cannot talk about mega variety there. Like you go from a coder to someone playing Everspace to playing side scrolling Assassin's Creed. Like,
Yeah.
hello. Like, again, create your plan. What is it you're going to be? What do you. So here's a parting question before we leave. And this is a rhetorical question. This is not answerable. But
Sounds like a
when the
challenge.
streaming world is all said and done for yourself, and there's no more streaming for you in the platform, what do you want your legacy to be? That's a question that was always thrown to me, and it's something that's always resonated in the back of my mind. Is once I'm all said and done, how do I want to be remembered in the streaming world?
Mm.
Again, that's an individual thing. No one can answer that question. Right? But what is it that you want to be known for? I mean, if we all said the name Ninja, you instantly think Fortnite.
Mm.
You know, it resonates. It's what people think. Oh, Banjax, welcome on in, dude.
Hi,
Again, there's a bloke.
Banjax.
Now, there we go. Straight away, that name resonates, and
Oh, and then
we
some.
know that guy for just being fun and creative because that's what he was. Fun
Banjax,
and
stop
creative.
being a
The things that
stranger.
he was being creative in worlds that hell. I mean, the shit that he showed us speed was gilded. Like I never even thought of that kind of.
Oh, but like
That is mind-boggling.
the stuff with his bot, the mix it up bot,
Yeah, yeah,
I didn't know you could do
boggling.
that shit with
Yeah,
bot.
that's what I mean. So again, sadly, I don't know if he is streaming and if he isn't. But that is a legacy that's left behind is real, genuine creativity. And that's what you get when you get a name like that just pops up out of the blue. So again,
Yeah.
it's not how much money you've made, all that kind of stuff, because at the end of the day, no one's going to give a shit about that. What they're going to remember you by is what you paint the picture for. And that's what you need to be.
um,
Ben
Making me
Jax, we miss
blush.
you, dude.
Stop.
Honestly.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. We do.
Stop it, boys. I'll have to
Yeah.
grab another Guinness.
I
Stop
mean,
it.
yeah. I mean, but like Banjax is just one of those people that just, you know, obviously Banjax stepped away from everything, and it's like it was like Mixer, it's like that hole was there. It's like that certain piece of creativity that was just so different to
Yeah.
to everything else that was around at the time, and then it's just like you miss it. You know, I
Yeah.
miss the interactions with Banjax. You know, the banter, the laughs. I miss that stuff. You
Yeah.
know?
100%. And look, like I say, that's that legacy though, because as soon as that piece disappears, it's all right, no self-promoting. Come on, calm down. Once that disappears though, what's left behind? And,
Yeah.
and I mean, like I said, that's that legacy that only you can answer yourself. What is it you want to leave behind?
Yeah. Like
Hard to hard to think
yeah,
about, but
I
it's
mean,
a
it's
reality.
one of those deep questions. You know, what? how do you
It
want to be
is.
remembered? How do you want to be known, if you want to put it in a more, present time sort of things? You know, what do you want your reputation to say about yourself?
That's right.
Do you want it to be, oh, I'm just a money hungry pig, I'm only after subs? Cool, you won't get anywhere, but sure, that's what you want to do. If you want to be known
But who's
as
going to
just
remember that?
you've just fallen into the group at that stage. Do you want to be known as a very humble person? You know, a very honest person. You know, do you want to be just a person that everyone can get along with? Do you want to be known as the COD guy? The Rocket League guy. Do you want to be? You have to decide what you want that to be.
Yep, 100%. And that is the fundamentals you need to focus on, especially if you're taking a break and you're taking things away from, getting away from things for a while. That's what you need to look at. They're big concepts that you need to look at. What is it you want to leave behind?
Yeah.
Do you want to fall in that bucket of, oh, they'll just, oh, they're gone, like, the last 400 people that wanted subs only? Or do you want to have some sort of grip that people can remember you by and say, hey, that bloke did so much for me and he helped me. I want to, I want to take that legacy on. I want to push that legacy. I want to take that and promote that legacy. That's what I want to do. And because when you start building on that, you start creating your own point of values.
Yeah.
And as parting words for the stream, as we sort of get ready to wind this up, is take a break. Take yourself away. Go and ask yourself, what is it you want to do?
Yeah.
What is your legacy?
Yeah. Why?
And then
Why are
back,
you doing what you do?
You do. Yeah.
Why did you choose content creation in the first place?
Yeah. But
we should have like a diagram.
So, you should. Yeah. Do yourself a picture. Classic. It's a great idea.
Yeah. Did I choose it for money? Yes. Stop streaming. Did I choose it for fun? Yes.
Yeah, exactly right.
List up the pros and cons of whatever it is you do. You need to step well back from whatever position you were in and literally just forget everything and look at it from an unbiased point of view and really delve into it, like what you want out of it and why you're doing it.
Exactly right.
You have to, whatever it is, because there's always that thing that's bringing you down. So, and like as I said, we all know what that thing is. Like whatever it is, we know what that thing is. Yes, some things you may not be able to change, but that you need to take that time off to come to some form of acceptance, so you can move on with that. Like if it's money issues, for example, that's a big one. Obviously, you can't, be like, oh, I'm just gonna think really hard, and I've got thousands of dollars sitting in my bank account. It's
fuck, I wish.
Yeah, yeah, but but it's one of those things that you can't necessarily change. Obviously you could, depending on which route you went down, but it's very hard work. So that's one of those things that you'd have to come to an acceptance about. But everything else you can pretty much deal with. Accept it, deal with it, change it. Then you can start taking steps forward in another direction. That's usually all it takes, is to just go in a totally different direction to what you're used to. Yeah.
Sorry, just
you're right.
A new edition on Discord. But yeah, no. As we part with you today, just take that on. Think about taking a break, a mental break, giving yourself a release. Go and talk to some mates. Go and talk to some boys. Reach out to us if you an unbiased opinion. Yeah, we'll.
Sometimes the most honest opinion is the best opinion. As much as it hurts to hear it, sometimes it's the best one. But
yeah. Then when you come back bigger, harder, stronger, and focus on your goal. Get after it. Because we know you can do it. We've done it. We do it all the time. We reassess our situations on the weekly, on the daily. Go out there and do it for yourself. Do it for your community.
Pretty much. And
that'll wrap us up.
But speaking on assessments, so I've had a thought about where this takes place. No. About the show. So about where the show takes place. So obviously YouTube, it's a clunky platform. Some of us know. So we're thinking, but we'll leave this down to everyone who watches this. We are thinking about possibly moving it over to Kick. Under the podcast section over there, just so it's a little bit easier to find, a little bit easier to use from a streaming standpoint. It's a lot more streamlined. So just let us know if that's something that you'd like to see us do. It would, for longer plans, work out a little bit better for us, but it's all about you guys. Where do you want to see us? Can you continue watching us on YouTube, or would you like somewhere else that's easier to access? We'll leave it.
Personally, I'm not a fan of the YouTube. It is very rough. It's very clunky. Again, no matter where we move to, no matter what platform we use, it'll still be recorded, still put on the channel anyway.
Yeah, it'll still go on.
Don't catch it live. You can still catch the episodes when they go up, but
the show itself won't change. Like it's still going to be the same. It's still going to be us, talking about whatever we talk about. Nothing's going to be dramatically different. We're not going to become different people because we're in a different spotlight. This is it.
Also, the advances over with other options would make it more advantageous, I guess, to have an actual streaming location rather than just on YouTube, because it does stunt a lot of things. But
because we were an interactive show, and ever since being on YouTube, the interactiveness has died off quite a lot. There's less people interacting in chat. So that's why this sort of felt right on a streaming platform, because there was chat and people flooded in. They asked questions on the fly, and we responded to those questions. It just worked.
Well, I know the only one that I know who isn't on Kick in the chat technically is Banjax. I know,
we know
Memory Leak and Kaza and stuff like that. I know they've all got that stuff. So I mean, again, it's up to you guys realistically to move it to an actual platform, and we'll just keep the YouTube there for the VODs and stuff. But
let us know in the comments.
It is very rough. Yeah, absolutely.
I do read them, and when they come through. So just let us know in the comments what you guys want us to do.
Yeah. But that is going to wrap this one up. Again, episode 16 here on the next page. Artist SideNote's new go forward string, which is kind of awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, we thank you all for hanging out. We'll have a bit more of a chat in 2 weeks about some other options. Definitely going to be touching on a rather big one in the very near future. That's going to be a very open and honest assessment, and it's going to be brutal, and it's gonna make some waves. We are aware of it.
It's definitely going to ruffle a few feathers, I think, that one.
The gate has been opened on that one, so we'll explain a little bit more on that a bit later on. Yep, that's going to wrap us up for today. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and hopefully you have a great 2 weeks, and we will see you back here in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
So bye for now.
See you guys.